inches of snow blanketed Winnipeg Stadium. It's not much better today, even though groundskeepers have been hard at it since early this morning. But this football field is not in great shape this afternoon. Live from Winnipeg Stadium, the Western semifinal, featuring the Calgary Stampeders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Hi, everyone. I'm John Wells. A little chilly, but ready for the playoffs anyway. Today, two teams separated by just 2 points in 1980. The Bombers finishing ahead of the Calgary Stampeders, winning 2 of 3 seasonal meetings. The Stampeders have won most recently, so we're expecting a close one here today in the Western semifinal. And we'll be back with a closer look right after this.
The referee in charge of this afternoon's semifinal game, and he and his crew will have a difficult time with the snow obliterating many of the markers, including the yardage markers and the sideline markers, and it will be a difficult task for the men in the striped uniforms, a difficult task for the players as well. Trevor Kenner kicking off for the Blue Bombers. James Sykes will start out from about his 12-yard line. Sykes, the leading rusher this year in the CFL, gets it out in the vicinity of the 30-yard line, brought down there by Comet Burley. We're going to have a tough time passing along the information with regard to the yardage markers because they are obliterated. Ken Johnson is the starting quarterback. The running backs, Sykes and Burton, the same combination that did so well throughout the year. Robinson, Forzani, Vickers, and Armstead are the receivers. The ball is at the 32. The Stampeders first and 10. Johnson on the season, 16 interceptions, 22 touchdown throws. He's going to put it in the air early. Fingertips of Willie Burton. He was being covered by the linebacker, Leo Ezerins. Field conditions deplorable at Winnipeg Stadium. Absolutely no excuse for the Winnipeg Enterprises management for failing to have adequate equipment on hand to remove the snow from the playing surface. The snow fell in Winnipeg on Friday, a heavy downfall yesterday, and this morning they did not have sufficient equipment on the field to remove the snow to provide the type of playing surface that should be here for this Western semifinal. Johnson again, trying to swing it out to James Sykes. And Sykes is stopped short of the first down at the 40-yard line by James Reed. Ardell Wiegand, the rookie head coach of the Stampeders, upset prior to the game because of field conditions.
Jimmy Sykes, not only one of the leading rushers in the country, but also an excellent pass receiver coming out of the backfield. He's their leading receiver this year with 57 catches and just a great all-around athlete.
He carried that ball rather carelessly on his shoulder for about his first few strides, didn't he, Terry?
Well, Don, it's a little chilly out there, don't you think? They're trying to warm up those hands.
Well, it was beautiful midweek in Winnipeg, a temperature of about 16 degrees. It turned cool on Thursday night. Snow fell on Friday, and we had quite a downfall yesterday, about 5 inches. Paul Bennett on the punt return, and Bennett is stopped at the 34-yard line by Darrell Moyer. And I am just guessing as to the yardage, but I would say it's close to the 34-yard line. 45 yards the length of the kick, 9 yards on the return. Dieter Brock, the Schenley nominee for the Outstanding Player Award in the CFL, the quarterback. Miller and Bragagnola, the running backs. Joe Poplawski returns to a slot back position along with Rick House. The wide receivers are Mike Holmes and Eugene Goodlow. Calgary threw the ball on its first 2 offensive series. Winnipeg, in contrast, is running with William Miller, and Miller is out to the 45-yard line, stopped by Al Burleson. A crowd of close to 30,000 taking in the activity at Winnipeg Stadium. Not a bad afternoon, actually.
Oh, from our ground level cameras, an excellent hole. Nick Bastide, number 65, got a great block, and Ed McElhenney, number 64. Willie Miller, you know, rushing on for over 1,000 yards on a team that passes so well really says a lot for his talent.
And he missed 2 games. The first game of the season when he was still with the Calgary Stampeders, and the final game of the year when he was injured. They go with Miller again. This time Reggie Lewis is there to corral him after an advance of just a couple of yards. That front four of the Stampeders had a big game in the 31-28 triumph, as we mentioned. Reggie Lewis on one end, Ronnie Padgett on the other side, Dombrowski and McElhaney the tackles. And with three Canadian linebackers, Bernie Morrison, Mark Nelson, and Doug Battershill, the Stampeders have room for imports in the secondary, and they have four back there. Odoms and Ingram on the corners, Burrow and Al Burleson at a halfback and safety position. The lone Canadian is Merv Walker at a halfback spot. Sideline pass, and it's incomplete, intended for Rick House, knocked down by Jim Burrow.
Well, they came with Bernie Morrison, number 72 that time, Don, their outside linebacker. They feel they can rush those four people, but, you know, Bobby Thompson, even though he had a difficult time with Reggie Lewis, Winnipeg want to come up with some maximum protection. So what do we have to do? Try to get in Dieter Brock's face very early in the game. Don't let him get any momentum. Blitz your linebackers, and maybe we can turn the ball over defensively.
There was a penalty flag on the play.
Procedure, Winnipeg, number 61, penalty decline, 3rd down.
The procedure charge against offensive tackle Bobby Thompson, and with the incomplete pass, the Stampeders decline the penalty, and Winnipeg is forced into a punting situation.
I think we should keep our eye on that matchup on all afternoon. Bobby Thompson, number 61, and Reggie Lewis. They had quite a battle last time these two teams played, and I have a feeling that they're going to try to help Bobby Thompson out, maybe with some blocking from Mark Braganola.
Third down kick by Bob Cameron. James Sykes, and he is stopped around the 30-yard line by John Bond. With 11:47 remaining in the opening quarter, following that 5-yard run back, let's pause for this message. Supporters feel that in this 50th anniversary year, it would be appropriate if the Blue Bombers should go to the Grey Cup. First, of course, the Stampeders, and then the Edmonton Eskimos, if they would be successful this afternoon, provide obstacles along that path. A gain of about 6 yards. John Helton making the tackle on James Sykes. Sykes, the leading rusher in the CFL, 1,263 yards. He's had a pretty good offensive line to work behind as well. Krebs is the center. Kersinger and Horton are the guards. Gurrell and Fairbanks the tackles. The only import in that offensive line is guard Mike Horton.
Big John Helton, number 99. He just stands up guard. Mike Horton helps to make the play.
2nd and 4 for the Stampeders. The ball is at the 36. Sykes again. He spins his way out to the 45-yard line. A Calgary first down. Again, John Helton was in on the stop.
Well, we all know how great John Helton is, and he's really the mainstay of that defense. You saw him just spin off the block of guard Mike Horton and make the tackle again.
The initial first down of the game defensively, the Bombers line up like this. Tony Norman and Burley the ends. Churkas and Helton are the tackles. Tugud, Reed, and Ezerins the linebackers. James Sykes, pick up 3. James Reed, the middle linebacker, and Tony Norman both had a hand in bringing down the CFL's leading runner. James Reed in his 2nd season with the Blue Bombers. He originally came to the Canadian Football League with the Montreal Alouettes, but of course when the Owls acquired Tom Cousineau, Reed became expendable, and the Bombers were quite happy to add him to their lineup in mid-August of 1979. Vernon Paul goes into the ball game. Ron Churkas comes out defensively for Winnipeg. 2nd and 7 is the play confronting the Stampeders. They are at their own 49. Johnson swinging it out to James Sykes, caught immediately by James Reed, and he loses a yard on the play. The Stampeders are forced into a punting situation. Big play by the middle linebacker, James Reed.
Well, James Reed reading his key in the backfield. No, really, it's a bad screenplay, Don. It took too late to develop. He's just sitting there. He's reading the back in the backfield, and you can see Ken Johnson just sized to loft that ball up. A very dangerous play, actually, to James Sykes. James Reed right there on the spot to make the tackle.
So it's 3rd and 9 for Calgary as Mike McTagg goes in to handle the punting, a 43.9-yard average on the season for McTagg. He's a sophomore with Calgary. Bennett handles the ball at the 25-yard line, and it gets a couple of blocks. Look out! He's got some room down the sidelines, and finally he's forced out of bounds by Ross Forbes.
Special teams play such an important part, Don. You know, since Paul Bennett came to the Blue Bombers from the Toronto Argonauts, he's really added stability, not only to their defensive backfield, but excellent punt returns. And here's a perfect example, 34-yard return, and just a super ball player for them.
Well, of course, Paul Bennett set the CFL record of 965 yards in punt returns when he was with the Toronto Argonauts. Bennett, a graduate of Wilfrid Laurier University, one of many outstanding Canadian performers in the CFL. Brock over the middle. He's got it complete to Poplawski for a first down at the Calgary 35.
Dieter Brock gets the time to pass. He's going to find his receivers downfield, and especially Joe Poplawski. You give him 3 seconds, Don, he's going to find an area wide open. A great Canadian receiver, tough. He's got good speed, excellent hands, very soft hands, as a matter of fact. You get that ball anywhere near him, he's going to come up with it. From the ground level, you can see the time. He's pumped twice. He's looking, actually, he's probably his third receiver. And there he finds that soft spot behind Bernie Morrison, their outside linebacker.
Winnipeg with a first down at the Calgary 35. The deepest penetration either side has been able to make so far in the ball game, with 8:06 remaining in a scoreless opening quarter. William Miller cutting it back inside, and he picks up 2, maybe 3 yards. Mark Bragagnola was out in front attempting to open some running room for Miller, but Al Burleson came over to make the tackle.
We're going to let that play run ahead just a little bit here. You're going to see a double team. Keep it going. Well, okay, we couldn't see it right there, but what it was is Rick House, number 31, came in to help their left tackle, Bobby Thompson, on Reggie Lewis, number 60. And that's how they were able to turn that corner. They feel like that interesting matchup between Thompson and Reggie Lewis. Reggie Lewis had such an excellent game against him that they were going to bring that back or slot back to help in the double team blocking.
On second down, 2nd and 8, the end zone throw intended for Goodlow. He's got it! Touchdown, Eugene Goodlow. He took it in behind Ingram. And it was Goodlow who was the leading receiver for Winnipeg, despite that 31-28 loss 3 weeks ago. He hauled in 8 catches in that ball game, and he comes up with a big one early in this football game at Winnipeg Stadium.
Well, they're worried about Mike Holmes, and they got their best corner, Ray Odom's, covering Mike Holmes. But you can't forget a fellow like Eugene Goodlow, number 34. He's got excellent speed, and actually he runs just a go pattern, just fly right up down the field. Dieter Brock's got the pass protection. You see right here, the offensive line, give him the time. He just rears back and lets that ball go. And really, Ingram misread that football. He went up a little bit too early, and there's a touchdown.
The point after by Trevor Kennard is successful, and with 7:17 remaining in this opening quarter, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead the Calgary Stampeders 7-0, and will reach.
This is something that a defense can get hurt at times. You can see he misread his jump. In doing so, Eugene Goodlow was just waiting for that ball to come down. Ingram went up a little bit too early. Touchdown.
Butch Norman, an individual that the Bombers had a lot of concern about during the course of the week. He sprained his ankle in the final game of the season last Sunday at Empire Stadium in Vancouver. And right up until yesterday, there was some concern as to whether he would be able to dress and play his offensive tackle spot for Winnipeg this afternoon. Kennard's kick is taken by Sykes, who fumbles the ball back at the 5-yard line. And does a pretty good job of running it back after mishandling the ball. He returns it to the 25. A 60-yard kick, a 22-yard run back for James Sykes. Sykes, the leading pass receiver among Stampeder players. He was also the leading rusher in the CFL, and he did an excellent job on their kickoff return team as well.
Oh, special teams. Look, you can see him fighting off the block right here. And that's how you got to keep your eye, John Helton, keeping his eye on that running back. Never lose sight of the fellow with the football.
Ken Johnson will put it in the air on first down with a penalty flag. Armstead has got it. And he is taken out of bounds, but I believe it will be called back because of a holding infraction against Calgary. The holding call will negate a good gain on the throw from Johnson to Armstead and give Calgary first down over, but now it's 1st and 20.
Well, Don, as I said, you know, at the beginning of the game, that Willie Armstead, he's their big gun. He's got to get downfield and catch that football.
Calgary, number 50.
A face mask infraction against the Calgary Stampeders. Miles Gural obviously grabbed one of the defenders by the face mask and attempting to block.
You can see on that replay there, Don, that Bob Toogood, number 32, is trying to chug Willie Armstead at that line of scrimmage. It's a form of double coverage, so to give Paul Bennett some help in the defensive secondary.
1st and 20 now for the Stampeders. Johnson swinging it out to James Sykes again. And Sykes has an advance of 6 or maybe 7 yards before his progress is halted by the outside linebacker on the left side, Leo Ezerins. Sykes has really been the workhorse of this Calgary attack in the early stages of this ball game.
Well, they know they get the ball to Jimmy Sykes, whether it's by the pass, the screen, or him running. He has been their #1 player all season long. But, you know, right now, those linebackers of the Bombers are sitting right up on that line of scrimmage, Don, and I think that to get them off of there and get that pressure out, they're going to have to pass that football, and they're going to have to go deep very soon.
Johnson completes the pass. The tackle made immediately by Charles Williams on Tom Forzani. Williams was really charging from that left corner. You'll see him come flying into the picture after Forzani makes the catch.
You know, you got to admire Tom Forzani. Not a very big receiver. Really one of the all-time great Canadian receivers. You see nothing very fancy about that pass pattern. He sees Charles Williams giving him some good ground. So what does he do? Just a nice little hook pattern right where that first down area is. Okay, mind you, he's looking for the first down area. They're a 10-yard pattern, and he picks it up.
So McTagg with the 3rd down kick. Not a particularly good kick. The ball actually bounces back towards the line of scrimmage. It's picked up by Paul Bennett. Bennett trying to get to the outside, and he's brought down by Darryl Moyer. The Blue Bombers leading 7-0, 5:08 remaining in this opening quarter. They have a first down at the Calgary 49. Screen pass to William Miller, and good defensive play by John Palazetti, who broke through the interference to make the tackle. Stampeders have been juggling personnel at those linebacking positions. Bernie Morrison, Mark Nelson, Doug Battershill, and John Palazetti have been in and out of the lineup. Right now they line up with Nelson in the middle, Morrison to the left, and Palazetti backing up the line on the right side. Movement at the line of scrimmage in advance of the snap of the ball. Here's a free one for the Bombers. It's Mark Bragagnola down the sideline and very close to a first down. Reggie Lewis appeared to move prior to the snap of the ball. A decision time for the Blue Bombers. They're attempting to determine just how much yardage Bragagnola gained on that little pass from Dieter Brock. It's very difficult for the officials to determine just where the sidelines are as well, with the heavy covering of snow that fell on the field yesterday and on Friday. However, as we said earlier, absolutely no excuse for Winnipeg Stadium and Winnipeg Enterprises officials for not removing the snow properly from the playing surface.
Don, the player's reaction, I was talking to Mike Holmes. He said he was having real difficulty with the footing. Willie Miller didn't seem to be having too much of a problem. As I asked him how it was going out there, most of them are wearing just a regular cleat. The field is not frozen, but it is slippery in spots, and I guess that's the problem when it's slippery in different areas of the field.
Well, John, that's the one thing we were a little concerned about up here. Terry and I were talking prior to the game as to whether they would be able to get traction. And Terry, having played under conditions somewhat similar in his career, I'm sure, felt that if they could dig in, it wouldn't pose any major problem. So you confirm that they can, in fact, get some of that traction.
I think they can. They don't seem to be, as you notice from the pictures, too, they don't seem to be slipping and sliding around too much.
I've also noticed, John, that they are wearing a variety of gloves. And just before the game, I was talking with Ian Mofford, and he had on a pair of soccer goaltending gloves and felt that they were giving him an excellent grip on the football. So I think the equipment man was dispatched to a sporting goods store and try and get just as many pairs as he possibly could.
Joe Poplawski, he sees that the ball's been thrown. Now he's looking to block someone downfield, and he's trying to take on Al Burleson here. There's an illustration right there how tough that Al Burleson is. He is a very physical safety.
Well, the Bombers will take the game rather than the penalty because it's 3rd and inches. Dieter Brock keeps, and he does have the first down.
Terry, when you look at this game, as the Calgary Stampeder defensive front four in particular getting heat on Brock, who would have the advantage? The defensive line or the offensive line with a field like this?
Well, John, if you said that they can get traction. Really, sometimes the weather's a great equalizer, but it's possible they're bringing that outside linebacker, Bernie Morrison, because they're not getting the exact traction that they're looking for from the inside. They feel they try to flush Dieter Brock out of that pocket, and it looks like McElhenney and Dombrowski are not getting that fierce rush on the inside.
Winnipeg with a first down at the Calgary 37. Brock going to the sidelines to Goodlow. Goodlow against Ingram. He gets outside. He's brought down. Good tackle by Ingram. The ball is fumbled, but the play has been whistled dead. Goodlow working against Ingram. He almost got by him for his second score of the day.
Well, Dieter Brock is reading that defense perfectly. They're going one-on-one on the outside. Eugene almost slips there, but Ingram's giving him 15 yards, Don. He's much too deep right now. Dieter sees that they're playing tight on the inside, so why not go to that receiver to the outside? 27-yard gain.
The ball is at the Calgary 9. It's 1st and goal for the Blue Bombers. They lead it by a score of 7-0 with 2:58 remaining in the opening quarter. Movement at the line of scrimmage. Penalty flags are down. The end zone throw intended for Goodlow, incomplete. So with 2:49 remaining in this opening quarter, let's pause for this message. And goal for the Blue Bombers following the offside call against the Stampeders' John Palazetti. The ball is just inside the 5-yard line. Bragatola hits the touchdown. Big hole for Mark Bragatola. It almost appeared, Terry, as though the entire Calgary defensive unit was anticipating William Miller to carry the ball.
They were sliding down the line. Center John Boggs gets an excellent block, down block on Ed McElhenney. Butler on Ken Dombrowski. Mark Braganola right up the center, unmolested into the end zone. Right there, you can see excellent blocking on that offensive line.
Only the second touchdown of the season for Braganola. His only other score was in the dying moments of a victory earlier this year over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The point after by Trevor Kinnard, and with 2:31 remaining in the opening quarter, the Blue Bombers lead it by a score of 14-0. The Blue Bombers have had the ball 3 times this afternoon, and they've scored touchdowns on 2 occasions. Winnipeg certainly off to a quick start. However, we remind viewers across the country, they also had a 14-0 lead in a game that we televised from Winnipeg Stadium a couple of weeks ago against the Montreal Alouettes, and then were life and death to win it in the dying moments.
Don, you know that Calgary also are noted for very slow starters, and believe me, with the talent that's out on that field right now, the game's far from over. But right now, you have to say that that offensive line of the Bombers are dominating the line of scrimmage. They're negating that pass rush from McElhenney, Lewis, Dombrowski, and Paget, and Dieter Brock is finding his receivers downfield.
Well, the celebration is on in Winnipeg regardless. This is the first playoff game in this stadium since 1972, so these fans have waited a long time.
And I'm sure there are viewers across the country who may recall that thriller in '72, Winnipeg and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. A kicking exchange in the final moments with the Roughriders winning it. James Sykes, the ball carrier. Ian Mofford was there to make the tackle, a 55-yard kick, a 27-yard return. Ray Yark in his 3rd year as head coach of the Blue Bombers. His opposite number, Ardell Wiegand, in his rookie season as the boss man of the Stampeders. I was talking to him last night, and he said this is a very expensive semifinal playoff game. He has so many relatives and friends just across the border in North Dakota that he had to go on the hook for about 30 tickets for this ball game. Johnson getting time, then it's caught by John Helton. It appeared as though Johnson had plenty of time. Obviously, his receivers downfield were covered, and Helton got to him from behind.
Well, Lord Fairbanks, they're probably their outstanding offensive lineman. He can't keep Big John over there all afternoon, and for sure right now, with his speed, he just runs quarterback Ken Johnson down to the outside.
An interesting statistic with regard to quarterback sacks this afternoon. Winnipeg Blue Bombers have had the sack with John Helton dropping Ken Johnson. 2nd and 17. Passing situation again. That swing pass out of the backfield. Willie Burton is stopped short of the first down. Leo Ezerins was there with help from James Reed.
Tom, I kind of noticed on that series of downs right there, Ken Johnson really not looking downfield for his receivers. Maybe it's pre-planned or not, I don't know. But right now he sees his back coming out of the backfield, and he's getting that ball to him a little bit too quickly because the linebackers are really not getting in their drop zones yet. A little impatient. I think right now they've got to start executing a little bit more patience.
First quarter of this ball game, all Winnipeg so far, and it's reflected on the scoreboard with the Blue Bombers in front, 14-0. McTagg 3rd down punt, taken by Paul Bennett. Penalty flag, fly, no yards. Doug Battershill encroaching upon that 5-yard restraining area. A 33-yard kick with a 2-yard run back. 53 seconds the time left in this opening quarter. Paul Bennett giving Winnipeg excellent field position with an early punt return. He's handled the ball on all the punt returns so far for Winnipeg.
Calgary number 25, 1st down.
Doug Battershill, the man who was in too close as Bennett fielded that 3rd down punt by McTagg. Terry, are you surprised at the way this game has started off?
Not really, because Coach Jock said that we've got to get Dieter Brock protection. If we do, he's going to find his receivers downfield, and he's done it, and they're 14 points ahead.
Now Winnipeg has a 1st down at midfield. Bombers leading 14-0. The winner, of course, will advance to the Western Final next Saturday in Edmonton against the Eskimos. Brock getting that protection again, going deep for Eugene Goodlow. He's in the clear. And he's stopped finally at the 1. What a ball game Goodlow is having.
Well, you just don't sit back. You know, when you got an offensive theory, you don't sit back and wait. If your outstanding receiver is supposed to be shut down by their best cornerback, well, heck, you got speed on the other side. Let's attack. Don't be passive and sit back. Here, Ingram just runs right by the play. Eugene's got his eye on the football all the way, and another 53-yard gain, and they're in scoring position again.
Well, Calgary was concerned about defending against Mike Holmes, and they did that with the blade, but the speed of Eugene Goodlow has the Bombers in front 14-0, and they're threatening to add another with 1st and goal from about the 1.5. Braganola again. He's over.
He was met in the hole by number 46, Mark Nelson. But Mark Braganola, a very tough football player, just meets him right into the hole and just falls into that end zone for again to go ahead 21-0 or 20-0. Now we anticipate the point after. You can see from our end zone camera, nobody really blocks Mark Nelson. He just meets him right in there, but the power of Mark Braganola brings him into the end zone.
The point after attempt by Trevor Kennard, and with 4 seconds remaining in the opening quarter, the Bombers have really put the Stampeders in a big, big hole. 21-0 is the score. Dieter Brock, the Western nominee, is the country's outstanding player for the Schenley Award, having a superior afternoon, and Eugene Goodlow has been the prime target. A standing ovation from this crowd of 30,000 at Winnipeg Stadium as the Bomber offense leaves the field. They've been striking and striking quickly.
And exciting, Don. This is exciting football, Don. I can remember back in Peter List days that if I got shut down early in the game, well, I could always go to Herman Harrison or Jerry Shaw on the outside, Bob McCarthy, and that's why you couldn't stop us. And I think that they're in the same position right now. Dieter Brock, you give him time to throw the football, and he's going to find those excellent receivers downfield. Who thought that Eugene Goodlow would come up with a game like he is right now? But he's got the speed, and Dieter Brock's got the time to throw, so why not make him think about the long pass and they're connecting?
Kickoff by Trevor Kennard. James Sykes has difficulty with it again as he goes back to the 2-yard line. And Sykes gets out to the 23, and that's it. Comet Burley was downfield, making the tackle after a 20-yard run back. And that's the end of the first quarter. The Blue Bombers dominating the Stampeders 21-0. Stampeders in a deep hole as we prepare to start the second quarter. They trail by 21. They have not been able to get their offense in gear to this stage of the ball game. They're inside running game. And finally, as they break out of there, Willie Burton got to the outside and should have the first down. It looked as though he was going to be stopped after a gain of about 3 or 4 by Tony Norman.
Don, it'll be interesting to see if they change their game plan now. They couldn't find Sykes downfield. They wanted to throw to Willie Armstead on deep, Sykes to the flat. They couldn't find Armstead downfield because really they're a conservative offensive team. They like to take control in that line of scrimmage, get their runners inside, slide to the outside with some sweeps, and then strike big. But down 21-0, they've got to go up on top now.
First down at the 40. This is Sykes. He has an advance of 6, maybe even 7. Well, in the press box with us and watching this game, the head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos, Huey. I'm sure, like everyone else across the country, you're surprised at Winnipeg's quick start.
Yeah, I thought it would be very, very close, and of course Calgary's got that comeback ability, as we well know, so yeah, I haven't given up on them yet, but the Bombers right now look unbeatable. They just look super.
Huey, you've got your entire coaching staff here. You're obviously doing a lot of work and a lot of preparation for next week's final.
We're trying to. It's going to take players, though, more than coaching to get.
All right, Huey, thanks very much for dropping by, and we'll see you next Saturday in Edmonton. Ron Cherkas making the tackle on James Sykes. And the Calgary Stampeders once again will be forced to kick it away.
Don, just before the game, I was asking Huey what he thought would happen here this afternoon. He said he really didn't know, but he was hoping for a tie, that they'd break somewhere in overtime Wednesday about noon.
Yes, when you have the luxury of sitting by and watching two teams slug it out, you hope that it's going to be a long, tough afternoon for the two sides. The ball fumbled by the Blue Bombers. However, I think they managed to recover. There was also a penalty flag on the play. Miles Gurrell may have been in too close on Paul Bennett, who was attempting to return that third down kick by Mike McTagg. Ian Mofford was also there. A 30-yard kick. Bob Lubig and Miles Gurrell, along with Mark Moores. Winnipeg first down at the 45. Drop play with Willie Miller. And he picks up 3. There's also a penalty flag on the play. Ken Dombrowski made the tackle. A face mask infraction against the Stampeders. Penalties have certainly proven costly.
I'm sure they're frustrated right now. There's no way they felt prior to this game that they would be down 21-0 at this time.
I don't think even the most optimistic fan at Winnipeg Stadium or across the country anticipated that that would be the result.
But when you have two exciting teams like the Bombers and Stampeders, excellent defense on both sides, excellent offense, anything can happen. And it's obvious one is dominating and the other one is taking full advantage of it.
Well, you saw Mark Nelson in making the tackle grab William Miller by the face mask, and that was the reason for the flag. It's Miller again, and he gets to the 40 of the Stampeders. Stopped there by Ronnie Padgett. Yesterday in the East, of course, the Montreal Alouettes hung on for a victory over the Ottawa Rough Riders, and next Sunday they will take on the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Eastern final, and you'll see that Eastern battle from Ivor Wynne Stadium on the full CBC network. Winnipeg dominating statistically as well as leading by 21 in the scoreboard. Blue and gold, the predominant color in the stands this afternoon, as some 30,000 spectators are watching the action and delighting to the performance of the Blue Bombers as Mark Bragagnola picks up the first down.
Reggie Lewis, he's just fighting off the block.
There's also an injured player. Butch Norman appears to be the man down. So with 11:39 remaining in this first half, let's pause the message. A 270-pound graduate of the University of Alabama, a 7-year veteran, one of the outstanding offensive tackles in the CFL, being assisted to the Winnipeg bench. His spot is being taken by Willie Thomas. Actually, Thomas is moving to a guard location with Messiah moving over to tackle. The pass complete to Joe Poplawski for another Winnipeg first down. Al Burleson made the tackle. That quick pass from Dieter Brock to Joe Poplawski. Brock doing an excellent job of mixing up his plays.
Oh, for sure. You know, and they're negating that pass rush of Reggie Lewis right now. Rick House is blocking down, double team with Bobby Thompson, and Joe Poplawski just finding that open area.
Inside, William Miller, penalty flag. Miller cuts to the outside. He's got another Winnipeg first down, but it may be called back as there was a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage. The call goes against the Blue Bombers. We'll wait for the interpretation from referee Blair Shallow. 10:50 is the time remaining in the first half. Winnipeg comfortably in front. 3 first-quarter touchdowns. They lead 21-0.
Holding. Winnipeg, number 50.
Willie Thomas, the man who came in as the substitute for Butch Norman, charged with the holding infraction. Thomas, a former Calgary Stampeder, he came to the Blue Bombers late last year. And this season with Winnipeg has been used mainly in a backup capacity. What a statistic and what an impressive start to Dieter Brock in this game. Brock in trouble, flips it out, and picked off by the Stampeders. The interception is made by Merv Walker. Brock badly overthrew the intended receiver, Mark Bragagnola, and Merv Walker came up with the interception, a key turnover, and a big play for the Stamps.
It appeared to me like he was trying to throw that ball out of bounds because really there was no receiver there. Oh, the ball really did get away from him. He tried to drop it in there softly to Mark Bragagnola and just over through the receiver. We can get another angle shot right here. You're going to see him just try to loft that ball. Dieter's got such a strong arm. He throws it sidearm. If you notice, he just threw it sidearm there and the ball got away from him. Merv Walker right there to pick up the interception.
So the Stampeders take over at their own 28. Johnson getting good protection, going deep, and there's nobody there. He was looking for Willie Armstead, and he was being covered by Vince Faison. Merv Walker with Winnipeg from 1975 through 1978, when he, of course, was involved in the big trade involving the Blue Bombers and the Stampeders that saw John Helton come to Winnipeg. Actually, Helton and Walker are the only principals in that 5-player swap who are still with Winnipeg and Calgary, respectively. John Malinowski went on to Toronto. Richard Krupp moved on to Ottawa. Lyle Wozniacki to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And second down, Johnson looking over the middle. He's got Mike McTagg open. He dodges one attempted tackle by Ezra. Scooped up by the Blue Bombers, Reggie Pearson. Paul Bennett made the contact on McTagg, and Pearson alertly scooped up the loose ball.
When it turns bad, it goes sour, Don. Mike McTagg finds an open area. Johnson couldn't find his primary receiver open downfield. McTagg was sitting over in the sidelines all by himself. Catches the ball, and then he tries to pick up more yardage, of course. Then he gets a big hit by Paul Bennett and fumbles. I think here we'll get a good look at it here. He rolls left. He can't find anybody. Then he sees Mike McTagg out here by himself. Gets away from Bernie Morrison. Then he gets a big hit from James Reed and fumble.
Back to the live action as William Miller spins his way to the Calgary 40, stopped by Ed McElhaney. Miller was with the Stampeders through training camp and in preseason. However, with Willie Burton and James Sykes, he became expendable. The Bombers grabbed him, and he's been the integral part of their ground game ever since. Butch Norman is back in the ball game. Well, obviously, he was not hurt too badly. The pass intended for Joe Poplawski. Good defensive play by Bernie Morrison to knock it away.
Their original defensive plan was to try to flush Dieter Brock out of that pocket. Come very hard up the middle with your two tackles. You have the ends on the outside, Paget and Lewis. They can run Dieter Brock down. But he took advantage early in the game. Bernie Morrison right here, right on the back of Joe Poplawski. Excellent defensive play right here. Just reaches out, knocks that ball down.
Excellent kick by Cameron. It sails into the end zone, and Tom Cezanne concedes a single point. And the numbers on the board now match for Zanni's uniform number. Winnipeg in front, 22-0.
I think there will be two, Doug.
Johnson to the sidelines. McTagg has it. He has a first down as he's bounced out of bounds directly in front of the Calgary bench. Pardon me, Ron Robinson on the receiving end of that throw.
Well, we all know that the Stampeders got to start throwing that football downfield. They really like this new receiver, Ronnie Robinson. Catches the ball well. He's good height, 6'4", 205 pounds, got good speed. They're going to have to take advantage of that.
Robinson had a big game in that 31-28 victory for the Stampeders over Winnipeg 3 weeks ago. As a matter of fact, the Johnson to Robinson throw produced the longest touchdown pass in the CFL this year, 95 yards. Over the middle, almost picked off by James Reed.
He threw right into the heart of that defense, Don. I mean, he telegraphed that play all the way because James Reed was just sitting back there a good 20 yards deep. What's the middle linebacker doing there 20 yards deep? They know that Calgary's going to pass. They're in his zone, safety free. He had him well covered. They almost picked that ball off. We can take a look at it right here. Ken Johnson is getting good pass protection right here. But you can see right there, he looked at his main receiver right down the field all the way. He was well covered. Bob Too Good there also.
Second down, the Stampeders are at their own 49. Johnson's pass complete to Robinson, and Robinson is hit immediately, stopped short of the first down by Paul Bennett. He's about a yard away, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the Stampeders gamble. There has been no indication yet that Coach Ardell Wiegand is sending in his punting unit.
So you can see the linebackers are even trying to hold up those inside receivers. But you can see there's an indication why they really like this Robinson. He paid the price for making that catch. It goes up high, nice hands, makes an excellent reception.
It's close enough to require a measurement, I believe. However, regardless of what the measurement reveals, I'm sure that Wiegand will stay with his offensive unit and try for the first down. Stampeders desperately require those points. They trail by 22 with 7:15 left in the first half.
Well, Don, too, those linebackers now have an added advantage. They know they got to pass the football. Let's jam those inside receivers, not worry so much about the run. Listen, we're ahead by 22 points. Can they really come back by the run? I don't think so. I think they've got to pass the football. They've got to make some big plays, and then perhaps the run later on in the game. But the linebackers are sitting in there, and they're not letting those receivers get off the ball, plus the field conditions.
Another thing, Terry, the Bombers have handled the Calgary Stampeder run extremely well so far this season. Sykes in particular has only picked up 141 yards against the Bombers in 3 games. They held them to 52 yards last time out when Calgary did win.
You're absolutely correct, John, and that's an interesting point, that the Bombers have held Sykes in check throughout in all 3 meetings. That time, penalty flags fly all over the place. And we'll come back with the interpretation of that penalty right after we pause for this message. Movement at the right side as Tony Norman was charged with the offside, and it is an automatic first down for the Calgary Stampeders with the penalty at the Winnipeg 47. I think this is the first time that Calgary has been in Winnipeg's half of the field. Now Johnson is in trouble. He throws the pass. It's knocked down by Bob Toogood.
Had tremendous pressure from the inside, Don. They're now starting to flush Ken Johnson out of that pocket because he is a drop-back passer. Not very mobile at all. Linebackers are jamming the inside receivers, and he just can't find his people downfield. And on top of that, I'd like to reiterate that something I said earlier, that the defensive backfield of the Bombers has really come on this season, and really, I think they're underrated.
Well, they had 30 interceptions for the year. After getting off to a very slow start, they finished strongly. Tony Norman and Thomas Burley were pressuring Johnson that time. Johnson now getting the protection as he passes complete to Ron Robinson. And Robinson is finally brought down by Vernon Paul, but it should be a Calgary first down.
They're taking advantage of the same area, Don, to the outside. Vernon Paul right here is trying to shadow him on a kind of double coverage. They're running 2 quick outs. Ronnie Robinson comes right back to the football. Excellent recovery on his part as a receiver. But, you know, the corners now are laying back. They say, listen, we got a comfortable lead. Don't let them strike big up on top. Give them the short ones to the outside.
Calgary at the Winnipeg 36. A first down play for the Stampeders. 5:45 the time left in this first half. The pitch to James Sykes trying to turn that corner. He's got another first down as he's finally taken out of bounds by middle linebacker James Reed.
I think Hugh Campbell said it properly, Don, that you cannot write off the Calgary Stampeders at any given time because they have striking power. They can come back very quickly. They have excellent receivers. Porzani, Armstead, Sykes out of the backfield. Now with Ronnie Robinson, they can come back.
Mike Horton, number 67, along with Miles Garrell, getting out to provide the blocking, springing James Sykes around that corner.
I think at the top of that screen there, Don, we have a chance to explain it. Franklin Tank tried to come down and block Paul Bennett. He just drove him into the ground.
From the 25. The Stampeders with a first down. Now the blitz with the safety, Gary Rosalowicz. The pass intended for Robinson incomplete. Rosalowicz, the safety, was blitzing, and Johnson had retreated all the way to his own 40, or to the Winnipeg 45.
Well, they can afford to gamble now with their coverages. They went man up that time, but both their outside linebackers and blitzed their middle safety and got to Johnson. Didn't have enough time to throw the football. Here we take a good look at it right here from our sideline camera. You can see he's trying to find people downfield. Comet Burley in his face. He's got to look back inside, and there's Gary Rosalowicz, number 21.
It's only minus 6 degrees Celsius, so it's not really that cold today, but some of the Stampeders are trying to keep warm that side of the field.
Got propane heaters at either end. Pass over the middle, complete. A big first down for the Stampeders at the Winnipeg 5. Willie Burden with a 19-yard gain, and James Reed made the stop, but it's first and goal now for Calgary. Bob Vickers comes into the ball game. Mike McTighe goes out. 4:28 is the time left in this first half, and the Stampeders are threatening to finally hit the board.
Well, Willie Burden's the third leading receiver. Not only is an excellent blocker, he can catch the ball as well as anyone on the backfield.
First and goal. James Sykes breaks one tackle and then is driven down Paul Bennett came bursting through from his halfback spot and almost caught Sykes for a loss, but Sykes was able to spin away.
As well as Reggie Pearson, number 8, Don. Their halfbacks are right up on the line of scrimmage right now. They're not giving them any room whatsoever to run.
The ball appears to be at about the 2-yard line, maybe the 3. It's second and goal from that point. 3:42 is the time left in this first half. Winnipeg leading 22-0. The Western semifinal, the winner advancing to the final next Saturday at Commonwealth Stadium against the Eskimos. The second man through, James Sykes, and he is over. The signal finally from the officials, and the Calgary Stampeders are on the board.
Well, that added some life to that Stampeder bench, Donald, for sure. We can see from our end zone camera here, Willie Bird, number 10, just double teaming now on the middle linebacker, James Reed. And just the power of James Sykes gets him into the end zone.
The Stampeders moving 75 yards, 11 plays for the major score. You may recall Huey Campbell, the coach of the Eskimos, talking about Calgary's ability to come back. Well, of course, a couple of weeks ago, the Stampeders overcame a 17-point deficit to score a most important victory over the defending Grey Cup champions. 5 minutes and 2 seconds it took the Stampeders to drive 75 yards for that major score. The point after by J.T. Hay makes it a 22-7 ball game, still in Winnipeg's favor.
Put the ball in the air and just excitement galore.
Well, this has certainly been an exciting year in the Western Conference. A lot of wide open action, and this year, of course, more points scored than ever before. The Edmonton Eskimos set a CFL record by going over the 500 mark. Eugene Goodlow is back along with Ian Mofford and Vince Faison for this kickoff by Mike McTagg. Taken by Faison at the 5. Faison gets out to about the 22. He is stopped there by John Palizzetti. A 58-yard kickoff and a 15-yard run back. Well, John, now that sun has begun to fall lower in the western sky and the west side stands at the stadium block it out, is it getting a little cool down in the sidelines?
A little chilly on the Bomber side of the field right now. I think I may go over and join the Stampeders for a while. They've still got sunshine on the east side.
Stampeders, as you said, still in the sunshine when the east side stands. However, it was dark during that first quarter. Miller picks up about 3. And with 2:56 remaining in the first half, we have a timeout. Well, as the Bombers dominated the first 15 minutes, the Calgary Stampeders have come to life in this second quarter, and now they are anxious to get that football back. Winnipeg facing a 2nd and 8 situation at their own 22. Brock to the sidelines, and Rick House has the first down at the 35. Key play right there for the Bombers in the dying moments of this first half. They retain possession and have themselves a first down at their own 35, moving away from their own goal area.
Don, I was watching the defensive line of Calgary that time, especially Reggie Lewis, number 60. He's really not coming off the ball very hard right now.
He owned Bobby Thompson in their last meeting over at McMahon Stadium. House is wide open. He's got it. Down to the Calgary 35. He was caught by Al Burleson.
He's usually that forgotten receiver. You have Mike Holmes, Eugene Goodlow, and Joe Poplowski. Rick House seems to get lost in the shuffle, but I'll tell you what, he's as clutch a player there is in Canadian football to come up with a pass. Here's a 40-yard gain. Ed McElhaney right in the face of quarterback Dieter Brock. Rick House gets wide open downfield on the flag pattern. 40 yards.
A little difficult to tell the out of bounds there, isn't it?
It is difficult for the officials. They are really under pressure this afternoon in making decisions. Unfortunately, they haven't had any key ones on those sidelines so far. Pass complete to Eugene Goodlow. However, he is tagged immediately by Ingram, limiting the gain to about 4 yards. But what a first quarter this man had. Number 34, Eugene Goodlow, joined the Bombers as a starter late in the season, even though he had been with them during training camp. A 6'1", 190-pound speedster out of Kansas State. He caught 8 passes against the Calgary Stampeders in that game on October 19th, and he destroyed the Stampeders in the first quarter this afternoon. Second down play. It's complete to Poplawski for another Winnipeg first down.
Excellent out pattern by Joe Poplawski, 71. They've really got the Calgary corners and halfbacks on the run right now. Dieter Brock is getting the time to throw the football. Coach Ray Yock said, you give him the time, he's going to find those excellent receivers downfield. They're trying to bump the receivers. They're just not working out because they are people who got good feet, run excellent patterns, and certainly can catch the football.
From the 17 of Calgary, Brock throwing complete to Poplawski again for a first down inside the 5. What a return Poplawski has made from sick bay, missing the last 2 games with a severely pulled hamstring, and he has been the favorite target of Brock this afternoon.
Well, we said that he would control the inside passing game, shut down Mike Holmes on the outside. Eugene Goodlow comes up with a big play on the outside. When he needs more control to the inside, who they go to? They go to Joe Poplawski. Great Canadian receiver.
Dieter Brock holding the hot hand. This time he calls and Braggett Noah. He fumbles at the goal area. It's recovered by the Stampeders, John Palazetti. And it's Calgary ball.
Big play for the Stampeders.
Big play by the Stampeders. Braggett Noah trying to struggle into the end zone. And the ball squirted away.
John, just when it looked like Calgary is starting to get back into the football game, Dieter Brock getting the protection, marches his team all the way down the field. The end zone camera right here, you can see Mark looked like he was going right into the end zone. That offensive line just drove that defensive line down the line of scrimmage. Big turnover right here. You got another shot of it. You can see he sees the hole to the outside. He just didn't have control of that football right from the beginning. John Palazetti right there to pick up the fumble.
So the Stampeders, with a big turnover, get it 1st and 10 at their own 1. A minute 15 remaining in the half. Willie Burden fights his way out to the 5. John Helton was there to make the tackle along with Leo Ezerins. John Palazetti has made a couple of big plays for the Stampeders this afternoon. That recovery may have been one of the biggest. Rather solitary figure, but rest assured he has a lot of company right behind him at that Winnipeg bench. Ray Yock moving back in the vicinity now of the players' bench after yelling some instructions to his defensive squad. Second down play for the Stampeders. Johnson will throw. Incomplete, intended for James Sykes, and with 51 seconds remaining in the half, Winnipeg will get the ball back in good field position. We've been informed that Yock was yelling at the defensive unit to call a timeout if the Stampeders were unsuccessful in making a first down, but with that incomplete pass, of course, the clock stops anyway. McTagg's 3rd down kick. Picked up by Vince Faison at the 35-yard line. The fans reacting, they felt that Several Calgary players were inside that 5-yard area. However, there is no flag. A 30-yard kick. No opportunity for a run back.
You can see from the replay right here, Vince Faison really just reacting to the play, and he's hoping that by jumping on that football quickly that he will get that no yardage penalty. But it was for naught, of course.
Brock quickly to Eugene Goodlow outside, and he is caught at the 30 by Ingram.
Eugene Goodlow, he's got all kinds of room to run out there now. He's got Napoleon Ingram worried about the long one. They've got time still to score, and he's playing off 10, 12 yards.
And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have called a timeout with 40 seconds and a half. And that man is having Dieter Brock, a CFL record this year of 304 completions, erasing the mark set by Peter Lisk in 1967. The Western nominee for the Shenley Award is the country's outstanding performer. And he has destroyed the Stampeders so far today.
Don, it'd be safe to say that no quarterback in Canadian football has dominated the passing game since Peter Lisk like Dieter Brock has this season.
No argument on that one, Terry. On second down, Brock going into the end zone. Goodlow is back there. It's incomplete. Knocked away by Ingram, and Ingram had some help from Merv Walker.
I'll bet you from our ISO camera, we're going to be able to see that Eugene Goodlow almost comes up with this play again. They had double coverage on him, and he still almost comes up with the football. He's got excellent speed. Ingram knows they're going for the bomb, and he's running. He's got his eye on the quarterback. They pick up help from the inside from Merv Walker. And actually, Merv makes a good play here by coming back and sticking that arm. See, at the last second, actually, Goodlow would have came up with that football, and Walker just reacted quickly and stopped the touchdown.
Well, Ingram was burned early by Eugene Goodlow. But now, Trevor Kennard will attempt the field goal from 38 yards out with 33 seconds remaining in the half. Kennard slipped as he kicked that ball. It is short. It rolls into the end zone, and Forzani might be forced to concede the single point. I think that Forzani may have been hoping to draw some of those downfield people into that 5-yard area. He immediately glanced over at the official, who shook it off. So Winnipeg increases its lead to 23-7. You know, we talked about the throwing of Dieter Brock and the receiving of Eugene Goodlow at Winnipeg passing attack, and I'm sure they anticipated that Ray Odoms would be doing a job in covering.
Oh, for sure. They said, let's play 11-man football. We've got our best against their best, but we've got other people who can catch the football. Let's go to them and see what they can do.
Well, let's see what Ken Johnson can do in these dying seconds. He finds Mike McTagg in the clear, and McTagg has a first down. Still spinning and fighting, and finally stopped at the Winnipeg 48.
Coaching staff for the Stampeders are very high on Mike McTagg. They feel he's going to be a starter for them in the very near future.
A gain of 32, and the Stampeders now trying to take advantage of the timeout ruling in effect in the CFL, and we'll be back right after this. Ken Johnson, the University of Colorado graduate who joined the Stampeders in mid-78 and became their starter this year and first-string signal caller, taking advantage of the timeout to confer with Coach Ardell Wiegand. And with 12 seconds showing on the clock, he has time for perhaps 2 plays. At worst, the Stampeders would like to get within the field goal range of J.C. Hayes. Johnson to Forzani, and Forzani goes out of bounds with 6 seconds left at the Winnipeg 32-yard line. And now a decision for Coach Wiegand. Does he try to get in one more play or call for the field goal unit? And they'll try for 3. Good throw by Ken Johnson. Good play by the Stampeders, finding Forzani in the open, and The veteran Canadian receiver quickly went out of bounds to stop the clock. J.T. Hay will try and get the Stampeders a little closer and provide them with some psychological lift just prior to going to the dressing room as he tries for 3 from 39. Kick is wide. Paul Bennett in the end zone, going to try and run it out, and he makes it. Look out! Whoa, a saving tackle by J.T. Hay as Paul Bennett refused to concede the single point and came very close to breaking it all the way. So at halftime in this sudden death Western semifinal at Winnipeg Stadium, it's Winnipeg 23, Calgary 7. The presidency, Ronald Reagan's election in the United States the other night. I believe he's from Dixon, Illinois, and so is Ray York, the head coach of the Blue Bombers, and he was suggesting that he and the president do have something in common indeed.
Don, Dieter Brock just really having a sensational season. It all starts though in the trenches. That offensive line I don't think has gotten the publicity that it deserves. Bobby Thompson, Messiah, John Bonk, Larry Butler, and Butch Norman have really done a fantastic job for the Blue Bombers.
Trevor Kennard preparing to kick off to start this second half. Not a good kick. The ball is fumbled by the Stampeders, and it's taken out of bounds by Mark Nelson. And Nelson had difficulty with his footing as he crossed the sideline marker. Actually, had Nelson not played that ball, it would have gone out of bounds, and the Bombers would have been forced to kick over again. And there is a rather strong breeze now blowing out of the north. It seems to have increased in velocity since the start of this ball game. You get an indication there of the strength of the wind, and at the bench some adjustments are being made in the type of footwear being employed by the Stampeders. And Terry Irvin may very well be going in. He's been the designated import so far in this game, but he may be going in that Calgary secondary. Willie Burton fighting off tackle and picking up 4 or 5 yards before he's stopped by Leo Ezrin. Wherever you're looking in this afternoon, whether it's on the CBC television network from coast to coast or on the ESPN network in the United States, we hope you're enjoying the action from a rather chilly Winnipeg Stadium, a city that was hit by quite a snowfall yesterday, about 5 inches of the white stuff falling and creating problems as far as the playing surface is concerned in the Manitoba capital. On second down, Johnson getting the protection, throwing incomplete over the middle, intended for Armstead. Reggie Pearson was covering on the play.
Ken Johnson seemed to lose his footing, Don. If you'll notice, if we can probably pick it up on replay, that his receiver was wide open downfield, and when he started to deliver that football, his back foot slipped, and he just didn't have the velocity on the ball.
Well, the footing actually was quite good at the start of the ball game, but now with most of the field in the shadow of the west side stand and without the snow completely removed from the playing surface, I imagine it would be getting a little icy in certain spots. McTagg with a towering third down kick. It chases Bennett back to his own 22-yard line. What a job Bennett has done this afternoon, but he fumbles the ball. Calgary has recovered. Bennett was hit by Ken Dombrowski, and the Calgary Stampeders come up with the football. A 58-yard kick and a 16-yard run back. Take another look at it.
It was an excellent return, and maybe we can take a real close look here. See if somebody strips that football.
Ken Dombrowski pulls it out of his hand.
Excellent play. They're going to need those defensive turnovers, and now they got to go right up on top. Don, the Calgary Stampeders cannot play the conservative football as they're doing right now. Johnson's got to find his people downfield, and I think he's got to look for Tom Forzani. He has been open. He's a veteran receiver. He's a smart football player. They've got to get the football to Tom Forzani.
Well, a touchdown here would get the Stampeders right back into the thick of things. Johnson is going deep for Forzani. Incomplete. Gary Rozalowicz in the end zone knocked it away. He was being helped with the coverage on Forzani by Charles Williams.
If they don't get that double coverage, they got the 6 points. Tom just give a little head fake to the outside. He got good position on the inside on Charles Williams. He's reading it. You can see that Williams undershot the football there. But Gary Rozalowicz right there in the double coverage saved the touchdown.
Actually, Rozalowicz almost deflected it into Perzani's hands.
They're going to have to try to freeze up their middle safety, Don. They got to take one of their inside receivers, Ronnie Robinson or Willie Armstead, hook them over the middle, freeze that middle safety, go one-on-one on the outside people, just like Eugene Goodlow did and Dieter Brock.
Big second down play. The safety blitzes. The pass complete to Robinson, and Robinson has some running room. He's going to score. Ron Robinson with a big touchdown for the Stampeders.
Just a great block downfield by Mike McTagg. You see, Don, if they're gonna, when you're in trouble, you got to go one up. You take your best people against there and say, okay, we can't sit back. Let's go and attack. And we can see right from the end zone camera. There comes Gary Rozalowicz, 21. Right away, Ken Johnson knows they're in a man-for-man coverage. Gets the ball to the outside. Excellent block on the bottom of the screen right there by Mike McTagg to break Ronnie into the end zone.
Footing was a problem for Paul Bennett trying to recover there, though, wasn't it?
Well, on both sides, John, you know, the Bombers took advantage of it in the first half, and maybe now Calgary has found something.
With the point after by J.T. Hay, we suddenly have a ball game. And we'll return with the Calgary kickoff right after.
Well, we spoke of Calgary's ability to strike if there's a turnover. Bennett fumbles on the kickoff. Ronnie Robinson runs a curl pattern, gets open. Great block by Mike McTagg on Vince Faison. New ball game.
Back to the live action, the kickoff with O'Doherty taking the short kick and running it back to about the 32-yard line where he was stopped by Al Burleson. Well, it took a while, but perhaps Ken Johnson has that Calgary offense in gear now. Winnipeg led at one stage by 22 points. It was 22-0 for the Blue Bombers. But turnovers have certainly proven costly. A fumble at the 1-yard line late in the first half when it seemed as though Winnipeg was driving in for another major, and then the fumble by Paul Bennett. That gave Calgary the chance to go in and score. William Miller is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Mark Nelson made the penetration, and Ron Robinson, who had a big game against Winnipeg in their final meeting of the season at McMahon Stadium 3 weeks ago, is enjoying a rather successful afternoon in this playoff encounter.
Don, he's also a very big receiver, 6'4", 205 pounds with excellent speed. They're really high on him. They think he can be an all-star in this league in a very short span of time.
Winnipeg, a second down play. Brock throwing incomplete over the middle, intended for William Miller. He was hit by Mark Nelson, the middle linebacker. Winnipeg is forced to kick it away. Well, don't go away. This one is far from over, even though it looked as though it might be over in the first quarter when Winnipeg jumped in front with 3 touchdowns. But the Stampeders, as they have demonstrated on a number of occasions this year, have the ability to fight back.
John, Don was saying something about maybe the field conditions that was getting harder. What do you see down on field level? Because I saw that the defensive line of Calgary came off the ball very well on that particular play.
Sir, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear all of your question. I'll catch up with you in a sec.
Okay, John.
Third down kick by Cameron. Darryl Moyer picks the ball up, and he really has nowhere to go as he was surrounded by 4 Winnipeg tacklers led by Leo Ezrin. An injured Winnipeg player and having some difficulty picking up his uniform number. It's Ron Cherkis, who is now assisted to his feet by trainer Pat Clayton, and he heads to the Winnipeg bench. His spot at a defensive tackle position will be taken by Marv Alamang.
John, what I was asking earlier was I was wondering about the field conditions that are down there now.
Well, it seems that the offense has the advantage where the defense has to take a move, as you saw Paul Bennett trying to react. The offense, knowing where they're going, seem to have a little bit of an advantage because it is a little bit slippery and only in places, which is difficult for both teams, I'm sure.
John, this could be a big series of downs right here for the Stampeders. Swinging it out to James Sykes, it's incomplete. Middle linebacker James Reed was over defending. The pass just a little too high for Sykes. 10:58 the time left in this third quarter.
I'm curious why quarterback Ken Johnson's throwing that ball so softly to the outside. That's the third time now they've gone to that screen to the outside or dump pass, and he's really just floated it out there instead of getting that ball there in a hurry, because Jimmy Sykes is really wide open.
Churkus being treated at the Winnipeg bench as the Stampeders scrimmage 2nd and 10. They are at their own 53. Movement at the line of scrimmage as Sykes finds a hole, and he struggles out to the Winnipeg 50. Tony Norman, the right defensive end, appeared to move in advance of the ball being snapped. Now it's a procedure violation and a holding call against the Calgary Stampeders. So while Norman moved, he was drawn offside, obviously.
Don, I was just talking to Reggie Lewis of the Stampeders. He's having trouble with the footing, he says, this afternoon. Because the offensive line is able to wait for him to make his move, and that's causing him some problems. And they haven't really had, the Stampeder defensive line has really not had a big charge.
Calgary, number 56.
The holding call goes against center Tom Krebs, University of Utah graduate. His father, Hal, of course, played for the Stampeders from 1962 through 1966.
Tom, did I read that penalty right? It was a holding on Tom Krebs? I guess I didn't see Tony Norman jump offside then.
There was also an illegal procedure call against Calgary with Norman being drawn offside.
Oh, I see. Okay, Donald.
2nd and 20. The Stampeders are backed up to their own 43. Johnson with good protection. The pass complete to, no, they rule no catch to Ron Robinson. It looked as though Robinson had dropped to one knee to scoop that ball up, but apparently he fielded it on a bounce.
Ronnie Robinson's getting off the line of scrimmage really well. No one's blocking him. He's right down there in that first down territory. You can see he's just cutting right now in front of the flag. But quarterback Ken Johnson is not getting good velocity on that football. Now, mind you, he should have caught that ball. He was down there like a second baseman trying to pick it up. But Johnson seems to be slipping on this turf, where Dieter Brock is not. Now, mind you, Dieter's got a much stronger arm. And I guess with Ken Johnson not getting the follows through, it's hurting his passing.
Not a good kick by McTagg, particularly with that following wind. And the ball rolls out of bounds on the far side of the field. 9:46 is the time left in this ball game. Winnipeg leads Calgary 23-14. 45 yards, the length of the kick by McTagg.
Don, interesting on that pass play before to Ronnie Robinson. You know, he gets off the line of scrimmage clean. There's no blitzing. The linebackers are out of that area. And if Ken Johnson starts to get that time now and they get his receivers downfield, I think we can see a cliffhanger.
Well, Winnipeg appeared to be home free in the first quarter. They have some work ahead of them yet. William Miller trying to get outside, and he's caught from behind. Good play by Al Burleson, the safety. There's also a penalty flag on the play. It appeared as though Miller, if he could get the block, would get to the outside, and Burleson really came through from his safety spot. The penalty is against Winnipeg, it would seem.
Holding against Winnipeg, number 68.
The holding call against the Blue Bombers, Larry Butler.
The left guard, Larry Butler. You'll see he'll grab Ed McElhinney there. He's got him right by the neck in the middle of your screen. He just wrestles him down like a steer.
The draw play with Miller. Miller trying to cut off the block of center John Bonk. He's brought down by Mark Nelson after an advance of about 8, maybe 9 yards. So it's a 2nd and 12 play for the Blue Bombers. In that first quarter, it looks as though Captain Blue may have to send out for more gasoline for the Blue Bomber, the way the Bombers were putting points on the board, but he's been stymied since then. Sideline intended for Goodlow, incomplete, and Winnipeg is forced into a kicking situation again as Ed McElhaney was pressuring quarterback Dieter Brock and may in fact have partially hampered his throw by reaching up and catching the throwing arm. So Calgary should get this ball back very close to midfield. 8:24 is the time left in this third quarter. 23-14, the Blue Bombers lead it. Bob Cameron kicking into that breeze, blowing out of the north. Ball bounces to James Sykes, and Sykes is caught and brought down at the Winnipeg 53 by John Bonk. A 39-yard kick, a 5-yard return, and Calgary's first down play is coming up. They position the ball at the Winnipeg 54, a 1st and 10 play for the Stampeders. Terry, I think you'll agree, a very important series of downs for Winnipeg.
There's no doubt.
For Calgary, I should say.
For sure, Winnipeg will have the win in that fourth quarter, and Calgary got to come out of this drive with some points right now.
Well, Johnson will try his best right here. Pass is complete. And on the receiving end, Ron Robinson in front of Paul Bennett.
That's just a good football play. Number 3, Ronnie Robinson, again coming clean off that line of scrimmage. And he's driving the halfback Paul Bennett deep. But he's got good coverage. He's right there, and it has to be a perfect throw and a perfect catch. You can't play defense any tighter than that.
Robinson with 90 yards and 5 receptions. He's been the prime target for quarterback Ken Johnson. First down, Calgary at the Winnipeg 35. Good protection again, going into the end zone for Armstead. Who's got it? Incomplete. Charles Williams went up with Willie Armstead. It appeared as though momentarily he had possession of that ball, but it was knocked away as Vernon Paul was pressuring quarterback Ken Johnson.
Well, they've been trying to get Willie Armstead deep, but I'll tell you, he better keep his eye on Ronnie Robinson because he's been open. I'll tell you, he's finding a nice soft area inside there. He's going to work on Paul Bennett because middle safety Gary Rozalowicz, number 21, is trying to cover double coverage on Willie Armstead, and he's leaving Ronnie Robinson open. Almost a great catch right here. Willie almost pulls it down.
The second down play for the Stampeders. Armstead looking to Willie Burton coming out of the backfield. He's got it. He appears to be very close to the first down. Stopped by Charles Williams.
Looks like somebody ran a wrong pattern there, Don. Tom Forzani and Willie Burton were exactly in the same area. Now, mind you, maybe Tom was running an out pattern. Willie, as a release valve coming out of the backfield, got in that same area.
It's going to require a measurement. From up here, and it's difficult to tell with the snow obliterating most of the yardage markers, but from up here it appears as though he may be about a half a yard short.
1 second, man. 1 second. That's short now. That would be 3rd down.
Vision is still 20/20, I guess, Terry.
No one ever said you had bad eyes. Here's Ronnie Robinson. You watch, he's looking in the backfield now. He's kind of going to sleep a little bit. And Paul Bennett says, hey, son, better keep your eyes open. This is my turf. Don't come inside here, he said.
Well, I wonder what these fans at Winnipeg Stadium are thinking in the first quarter. 21-0 for the Blue Bombers. It looked as though it was going to be a rather hilarious afternoon. Things aren't quite so amusing as far as they're concerned right now as the Stampeders. Face a third and less than a yard play at the Winnipeg 25. The pitch to James Sykes, and Sykes has the first down.
Just about didn't get away, though, Don.
Paul Bennett came up from his defensive half position, and had Willie Burden not been there to level the Bomber defensive back, Sykes might have been trapped for a loss.
Not exactly your predictable play right here, but Willie Armstead, number 18, got a good block on that line of scrimmage, and even though Jim Sykes was fumbling that football, he still was able to get up that first down. See, we got a double team on the outside right, Bob. Too good right there. You can see Willie Armstead hangs him up, and just enough room for Sykes to pick up the first down.
5:30 is the time left in the third quarter. The Stampeders on the march at the Winnipeg 22. Swing pass to James Sykes, intercepted. Picked off by Tony Norman.
Far too much in a hurry, Don. Really has a very poorly thrown football. He had the line right out in front of him. The linebacker read it perfectly, though. And again, Johnson, really too much in a hurry to get rid of this football. You see he's on his back foot, and he's just trying to loft that football up there. Really not a well-thrown ball whatsoever.
It's not often you see defensive ends make interceptions of that nature.
No, but he read the ball. He read the play early. The back came out too quickly. And geez, he's right there to pick that football off. Big turnover for the Bombers.
Another look at it.
See, he can read James Sykes coming out of that backfield right away. Tony Norman makes an excellent defensive play.
Winnipeg, quick pass to Joe Paprosky, first down at the 41. And suddenly this crowd that had been subdued in the third quarter comes to life. Tony Norman with an interception. It could have been a game saver.
Well, you know, right away, they're not going to sit back. They see a big turnover. Let's strike right away. We got the win in that fourth quarter. Let's put the ball up. And again, Joe Paprosky down the middle.
Inside to William Miller for a gain of about 5, maybe 6. And there are also penalty flags. Some shoving was taking place following the tackle. Rough play against Calgary. That one could really hurt.
Oh, sure, the turnover. You know, people get frustrated right away, and then they start to swing. I know Joe Paprosky was taking a run at Al Burleson, and he retaliated. Now, you know, he's a seasoned veteran. He knows that we just got a turnover.
Unnecessary roughness. Calgary, number 27. First down.
And they had a run in earlier in the game, and you can see right here Joe Paprosky took a poke at Al Burleson, but it's the guy they catch at the end, and it's Al Burleson.
So with that roughing call against Burleson, Winnipeg has a first down at the Calgary 50. William Miller tried to go inside. He spun out and picked up about 2 before he was thrown back by Palizzetti. .357 is the time left in the third quarter. Miller, the second leading rusher in the Canadian Football League this season. He's a nominee for the Shenley Rookie of the Year award. They credit Miller with an advance of 2. It will be 2nd and 8. Penalty flag is down, and so is Brock. Brock dropped back at his own 52. There was a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage. Let's wait. I think it was offside against Ronnie Padgett.
I think we got to keep our eye on Rick House. Don, he ran a flag pattern. It wasn't anywhere within 20 yards of him.
A break for Winnipeg on that call as Brock was dropped for a big loss, but the offside by Padgett. And our spotter, Mo Simovich, picked that one up almost immediately. The yardage that has been marched off against Calgary in contrast to the assessment against Winnipeg. And on this particular drive by the Blue Bombers, penalties have hurt the Stampeders. 2nd and 3, Winnipeg. The pitch to Miller. Nowhere to go. As a matter of fact, he was driven back by Jim Burrow and Al Burleson. Jim Burrow came up from his inside halfback spot to turn the play inside. And then Burleson, the safety, came over to level running back William Miller. So Bob Cameron comes into the ball game. A 3rd down kicking play. Well, spectators, almost 30,000 of them came prepared this afternoon.
I think I kind of like to share that blanket with them. It's not exactly warm.
At playoff time in the Western Conference, you have best rest warm-up. Cameron with an end-over-end kick. It bounces back towards the line of scrimmage and then back towards the Calgary goal area. James Sykes picked it up and got out to the 20. Stopped by John Bonk and James Reed. A 31-yard kick and an 8-yard return, and Calgary will scrimmage 1st and 10 right after this. Campbell, head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos. That interception by Tony Norman may prove to be the play of the ball game.
It was a very big play. Calgary had a little momentum, and they needed to score while they had the wind. And Cameron's been having trouble punting against that wind, and the Bombers will probably be glad when a couple more minutes go by and they'll have the wind to blow them home.
What about that 4th quarter? What do you look for, Huey?
I just think more excitement. I don't think you can count Calgary out, wind or no wind, and I think it's going to be exciting. This is a good football game. These guys are playing hard, aggressive ball. I think we'd have our work cut out with either one of them.
Well, you had the experience of a Calgary comeback in the final meeting at Commonwealth Stadium. You led by 17 and they came back.
They can do it, and of course Dieter can keep throwing all day, so there's more fireworks to come.
Okay, Hugh Campbell, as we swing back to the action, a 2nd down play for the Stampeders. Johnson throwing over the middle, complete to James Sykes. And Sykes is halted in the vicinity of the 34-yard line.
No, you can see from the end zone here, he finds Sykes coming out of the backfield, but again, it looks like quarterback Ken Johnson is not getting good velocity on his throws. It doesn't look like he's following through. And I don't know if it is field conditions or not down the center of that field, but if he's going to throw that ball downfield, he's going to have to get better velocity and better follow-through.
1:23, the time left in this 3rd quarter. Johnson under pressure. He is trapped by Leo Ezrin.
They're in a man coverage downfield, and they had all the receivers covered. And their outside line right linebacker, Leo Ezrin, comes on the blitz, knowing to pick him up. We can see from the end zone camera right here, initially he's got good pass protection. And here comes Leo Ezrin, gets away from Willie Burton and Mike Horton, number 67, and does an excellent job of bringing the quarterback down, Ken Johnson.
A Winnipeg native, Leo Ezrin, attended Whitworth College in Washington. 6'4", 225 pounds. He started his pro career as a tight end. Was converted to linebacker a year ago.
Don, again, I like to say they got to try to find Tom Presenta. He really is open downfield. And quarterback Ken Johnson's got to find him.
Seconds ticking away in this 3rd quarter. The Stampeders, the pass complete with James Sykes getting away from Reed. He breaks another tackle. And going down the sidelines is finally stopped by Paul Bennett.
And another super block by Mike McTagg, number 9, on number 9, Vince Faison of the Bombers. Ken Johnson finding Jimmy Sykes coming out of the backfield. And you can see he's looking, but he comes off his receivers wide open over the middle. Again, Ronnie Robinson, and James Reed misses the tackle right here. Then at the top of the screen, right there, you can see number 9, Mike McTagg. Excellent downfield block and a 33-yard gain.
I'll tell you, Terry, that play certainly brought the Stampeder bench to life. They're getting a little down over here. A couple of breaks gone the wrong way, but that was a big play for Calgary, no question.
This could be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Little counter action and pickup of about 4. James Sykes stopped by John Helton. 1 second showing on the scoreboard clock remaining in this 3rd quarter.
Well, standing over at the Calgary Stampeder bench, number 12 is a young gentleman who has never played in a regular season Canadian Football League game before. His name is Sheldon Paris, a native of Vancouver, and he's the backup quarterback to Ken Johnson this afternoon. He was with the Stampeders in the preseason. They made an adjustment today to get Irvin on the roster, so young Mr. Sheldon Paris is the backup quarterback to Ken Johnson today.
And John, it's quite likely that he will remain on the sidelines.
Unless it were a dire emergency.
That's exactly true. Pass incomplete, intended for Robinson, and it was knocked away by Vince Faison. And that will be the final play of the third quarter. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead Calgary 23-14. Well, we move into the final quarter with the Calgary Stampeders kicking into the wind. Mike McTagg standing back at his own 40-yard line. Not a bad kick. The ball hangs up there. It's taken by Ian Mofford. Mofford still going. And finally, he's taken out of bounds at the Winnipeg 34-yard line. Wrestled down by Mark Moore. A 37-yard kick and a 15-yard run back.
Don, Ian Mofford really was born a couple of streets away from me in Montreal. And since he's come over here to Winnipeg from Montreal, he's done an excellent job on their special teams. Really a good receiver also, and a good tackler, tenacious tackler on the special teams. He does a great job for the Bombers.
I talked about those soccer goaltending gloves that some of the players were wearing. It was Mofford who was experimenting with them in the pregame warm-up. Brock getting the time. He's got wide open.
The pattern I was speaking about earlier, Don, in the late in that quarter, third quarter, Rickhouse was open to the flag. They left him alone. They're worried about Eugene Goodlow. Dieter Brock is getting the time again. He's going to go up in the air. Right away, he spots his receiver, Rickhouse, wide open to the outside. Really a super catch right there.
House, one of many outstanding Simon Fraser graduates performing in the CFL. He's a sophomore, and he's made a most valuable contribution to the Winnipeg cause from his spot back position. William Miller, he runs into a mess of Calgary tacklers at the midfield stripe, led by linebacker Mark Nelson. You know, we talk again about that Winnipeg passing attack and the leading receiver in the country, Mike Holmes, the forgotten man this afternoon. Not attempted to throw to Holmes at all.
Well, they've got all the other people wide open, and they knew that Calgary was going to put their best on Mike Holmes, and they said, okay, Mike, and I know I spoke to him, he said, you're going to have to sacrifice this game until we need you, then we'll go to you, but in the meantime, we'll find our other people.
There's Mike Holmes. He hasn't been forgotten. At the Calgary 40-yard line, his first catch of the day in front of Ray Odom.
But just the pass blocking has been tremendous. Number 66, Butch Norman, down in the right part of your screen, working on Ronnie Padgett, is giving quarterback Dieter Brock that time. Mike Holmes reaches back and makes an excellent catch.
Yes, indeed. It was a great catch by Holmes because it was not a well-thrown ball on the part of Brock as he rifled it behind his fleet-wide receiver.
Maybe he was surprised to see Mike Holmes coming over the middle.
Winnipeg first down at the Calgary 40. Setting up the screen to Miller. Very close to another Winnipeg first down. Jim Burrow finally halted the running back progress.
Good reaction by number 16, Jim Burrow. He also coming in the trade from Montreal, playing excellent football for the Calgary Stampeders. He recovers quickly because Willie Miller had his blockers out in front of him. It looked like there could be pay dirt, Donald. Here we take it from our low-angle camera. Butch Norman gets in Ronnie Padgett's hands down, and there he's out front. Good blocking in front of him. Jim Burrows comes up and makes an excellent tackle.
It's close enough to require a measurement with 12:19 left in the ball game. Winnipeg in front 23-14. Well, the people who select the Labatt offensive and defensive players of the game have quite a task ahead of them, as there have been many outstanding performances. Dieter Brock, for example, Eugene Goodlow, Joe Poplawski for Winnipeg, Ron Robinson for the Calgary Stampeders, and defensively, any number of people. Paul Bennett doing a fine job of returning punts could also rate consideration. Second and less than a yard. Mark Bragagnola, he's got the first down. Every once in a while, the team dusts off an oldie, and on the second and short yardage situation, they go over the top for the bomb. But on the short yardage plays, both Winnipeg and Calgary this afternoon have been conservative.
I don't think that the Bombers in that situation could afford to go up on top and maybe turn that ball over, Don. They've got good control right now. It'll be interesting to see what the Calgary defense does right now. Will they come with their outside linebackers? It's obvious that those 4 down linemen that they had thought of before the game would get to quarterback Dieter Brock. It hasn't happened, but except on a few occasions, they're going to have to bring those linebackers, and they're going to have to play man-on-man with those receivers and just hope for the best, because Dieter Brock is finding his people downfield. You got to get into his face. Flush him out of that pocket and then chase him down.
Well, the measurement revealed that Winnipeg did indeed achieve a first down. And the Bombers are now at the 30. They've announced the attendance at over 31,000, the record for Winnipeg Stadium. Penalty flag is down. Brock going deep for you. Rick House off his fingertips in the end zone. However, there was a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage. Ray Odoms was back defending against House. I think it's against Calgary. Offside, and I think we saw the movement from the left side. Linebacker Bernie Morrison, I believe.
Calgary number 72.
Bernie Morrison was the man offside on that play.
Right. I figured they would bring the linebacker, Don, but he was a little bit too much in a hurry. We're going to see Rick House. He's just going to split the zone here. Number 32, Ray Odom's going to come in late, and he gets him inside of Al Burleson. Almost up with a great catch.
Actually, it looked as though House almost slowed up a little as he was running his pattern.
Well, sometimes that'll happen. You get there's a moment in your mind. You say, do I leave my feet or do I not? And it's that time that you don't catch the football.
First and 5. Miller looking for the first down. Very close to it in the grasp of Mark Nelson. 10:53 is the time left. It will be second and about a yard.
How do you like my printing?
John, you've done an excellent job. I'm surprised it took you that long to get the banner hung in the far sideline.
It was too cold. The tape wouldn't stick to the wall.
By the way, John, we extend our congratulations to the Regina Rams, who yesterday captured the Canadian Junior Championship in a game that was seen on the CBC television network, and which I'm sure you enjoyed working with J. Paul McConnell and Russ Jackson.
Certainly did, Don. I thought outstanding junior football game yesterday.
Mark Bragagnola getting the first down, and we'll be back with the Winnipeg play after this. Well, do you think those ladies are at all concerned about the cold weather this afternoon at Winnipeg Stadium? What's that old song? The winners laugh and sing, and the losers say shut up and deal. The ball was fumbled by Dieter Brock in the exchange from center John Bonk.
It appeared Dieter pulled out of there a little bit too quickly. Looked like he was going to try to sprint out. Just didn't have control of that football from the center, John Bonk. Just a bad snap, really. He's pulling out. You can see he's pulling out of there a little bit too early, and it just gets right away from. Didn't even have his hands on the ball at all. Quick reaction on his part to recover a fumble.
Trevor Kennard warming up at the Bomber bench just in case he is needed. Brock will try and put it in the end zone, looking for Joe Petrosky, incomplete.
They were
Jim
coming
Burrow
with
was
everyone.
coming.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. They were coming with all their linebackers. They came with 7 people at that time, and really an excellent play by Jim Burrows in the end zone. You can see here all the linebackers are dealing to the inside. Morrison coming up the gut. It looked like he had his receiver wide open. Joe Poplawski just started to fade behind him a little bit, and Jim Burrows got up on top and tipped the ball away.
Poplawski back in the lineup after receiving treatment for the past couple of weeks for a badly pulled hamstring. He has been a prime target for Dieter Brock this afternoon. Trevor Kennard will try for 3. This kick will come from 22 yards away. It's good. And the Blue Bombers, with 8:56 left in the ball game, increase their advantage to 26-14.
A reminder, Wednesday night.
After the game against the Montreal Alouettes a couple of weeks ago, where he missed field goals from inside the 15-yard line on 2 occasions late in the ball game. Ken Johnson, all sorts of time, completes a McTagg for a first down. The ball is at the Calgary 47. I mentioned Kennard and the problems he had against the Alouettes. He was telling me after, he said, can you imagine what youngsters playing the game and working on their kicking game think when they see a professional miss 2 from that distance?
And he's only a youngster himself, too. But when Bernie Ruoff went to Hamilton, suddenly Trevor Kennard comes out of nowhere and really provided them with excellent kicking work.
Johnson to Armstead, incomplete. Just a little too far for the big slot back.
Kenny's really had trouble all afternoon, Don, trying to throw that soft pass to the outside, whether it's to his receiver or to the backs coming out of the backfield. He's just not throwing it. He's not delivering the mail right now.
Are you surprised, Terry, that the Stampeders have thrown as often as they have today?
Not really. They got put in right behind the 8 ball right away, and I said that they had to come out throwing. Kenny Johnson's just got to put that ball up. He's got his people downfield. I'm going to harp on it again. Tommy Forzani is open.
Time is also the enemy of the Stampeders as Johnson rolling out of there, throws to Forzani, and Forzani on the sidelines has a Calgary first down at the Winnipeg 50.
Thanks, Tom. No, really, I got to look at it from my point of view, too, Don, that if there's a receiver open downfield and you know you got to march the ball, you're behind 12 points, you got to get the ball up in the air. Here's a receiver open. I know you're looking for people down the middle, but you got to get the ball to him.
Actually, that field goal much damage to the Calgary cause. They were in a position where they pretty well had to score a couple of times anyway. And that still prevails. There's Robinson making the catch, cutting back and getting another first down.
If he had another split second, Willie Armstead is 30 yards downfield, wide open. Here's Ronnie Robinson. You know, we said Vernon Paul's trying to knock him at the line. 6'4", 205. That's a big wide receiver now. They've moved him to the slot on the inside to work against the slower defensive halfbacks. And he is also open.
6:53 is the time left in the game. 26-14, Winnipeg leads. The Bombers had 21 of those points in the first quarter. Johnson going deep for Armstead. He can't catch up with it. I think he may have been out of bounds, even had he been able to grab the throw from Ken Johnson.
Sometimes when you're that one play behind, the coverages now saw that you were open, they change it up, and they get you covered. It seems like Dieter Brock, one of the major reasons that he's so successful this season, that when something did open up, it wasn't say, well, we'll get it next quarter in the second half, take advantage of it right away, because it may not be there the next time around.
A very big play for the Stampeders right here. It's complete. The catch is made by Forzani, and Forzani has a first down inside the Winnipeg 20.
You can't run a curl pattern any better than that curl that Tommy Forzani ran just right there. Charles Williams was all over him. He stuck his hand out in front of him. Tommy does the right thing. He comes back to the quarterback, gives him an excellent target, and makes a super catch.
Now it's 1st and 10, Calgary at the Winnipeg 19. Still plenty of time. 5:55 on the clock. Winnipeg in front by 12. Ken Johnson gets away from Tony Norman and then is buried by Paul Bennett. And James Reed, the initial pressure supplied by John Helton. And with 5:40 left in the game, we've got a timeout. Nervously at their respective benches. Ray Yawk of the Blue Bombers, Ardell Wiegand of the Stampeders. Johnson managed to pick up a couple of yards at 2nd and 8 for the Stampeders. Johnson being chased by Burley. He gets away from him. Throwing it into the end zone. Incomplete. A penalty flag goes down. Interference against Ron Robinson.
I think it was Gary Roselowitz. Donnie ran right up his back, really, and I don't think it was on purpose. It looked like Ken Johnson was just, it was a desperation pass. He's just throwing it out there on a hope and a prayer, and I think Roselowitz just ran up the back.
Winnipeg number 21, first down from the 10.
There it is right there. He ran up the back of Ronnie Robinson. I know it wasn't on purpose. Maybe we can get it on replay. Good, right here. We got our ISO director found the play. Ronnie comes over the middle. He's open. Johnson's in trouble. He starts to bootleg to the outside. Pearson's on. He starts to trip, and it really wasn't on Gary Roselowitz. It was on Reggie Pearson, number 8.
I'll tell you, Ray Yawk was furious about that call. Calmed down a little bit on the sideline, but still feeling it, as you can see.
Yeah, but John, I'll tell you what. Reggie Pearson had a hold of Ronnie Robinson's shirt. Now, we may not have seen it, but it was just enough to give him a little tug. He's not allowed to touch that receiver as that receiver's running away from him. Reggie was looking in the backfield at the quarterback, and he just tried to get close to the receiver as possible.
New life for the Stampeders. 1st and goal from the Winnipeg 9-yard line with 5:01 remaining in the game. Johnson throwing to Sykes, incomplete. Oh, James Sykes, the leading Calgary receiver during the course of the season, had 6 points written all over that one as he was in front of Paul Bennett.
You won't see Jimmy Sykes drop the ball like this too often. He just makes one cardinal sin. He opens his hands too early. And you can see the bread just dropped inside the basket. We'll take another look at it from our end zone camera. He is the back. He's not a receiver, really. And he makes that mistake of opening the hands too early. He saw he was wide open and probably was reading touchdown.
2nd and goal from the 9. 4:41 now left in this game. Both benches up. Reacting to the play. Pass intended for Forzani, incomplete as Johnson underthrew him.
He threw that ball too early, Don. I got to go. It was a very big play. He was going to Forzani in the corner. Tommy was open on an out pattern, and Johnson just delivered that ball far too early. Threw it to the outside, opened his shoulder, and the ball got away from him.
There's also a penalty flag. I think it's holding against Calgary.
Holding. Calgary number 56. Penalty declined.
Penalty is declined. Tom Krebs, the center, guilty of that holding infraction.
Well, James Reed starts to blitz. They were stunting to the outside, and Tom Krebs just reaches back. Not really a holding call, really. Now, that's questionable also. He stuck his hand out there and just touched him. My God.
This could be the ball game right here. A 3rd down gamble by the Stampeders. The pass is thrown to Willie Burton. He went out of bounds, short of the goal line. He is stopped at the 1. Willie Burton tried to maintain his balance and step inside that marker. He was unable to keep his feet. He stepped out of bounds at the 1.
He actually made an excellent play on that, Don. Again, quarterback Ken Johnson. I don't want to sound like I'm harping on him, but in situations like this, number 72, Leo Esmond's right into his face here, but you can see that he's on his back foot, and he's just lobbing that ball out there. That ball's going to fade away from you. And Willie Burton makes an excellent try to score that touchdown. And he was wide open. We're going to get another shot of it right here. He comes down to the backfield. You can see he jumped. And you know when you throw that ball softly, it's going to fade away from you. He drills it right in there. Willie catches the ball and probably goes in for the score.
Burton tried to get that foot inside the marker, but he had already stepped across the line with his right foot. And with 3:53 left in the ball game, it's Winnipeg with a 1st down. The Blue Bombers at their own 1-yard line. Roger Nola breaks off tackle. What a run by Bragg Ignola all the way to the 45 of Calgary.
A 64-yard run, the longest, I'm sure, in his career. Not noted for his speed. A hard-nosed football player, comes from Toronto, comes to Winnipeg, gets an opportunity to run, to do the thing that he can do best. And here he just turns it into a 64-yard gain, and probably really the play of the game so far, Donald, I would think.
What a play by Bragg-Ignola. That could have been the game saver right there.
I think I'll let the picture speak for itself, Don.
Mark Bragg-Ignola, a University of Toronto graduate, 3 years with the Argonauts, part of a preseason deal that saw Bragg-Ignola and Nick Bastaya come to Winnipeg. And what a playoff contribution he has made for the Blue Bombers. 2 touchdowns and that 64-yard run.
I think he's probably had his finest afternoon since he started professional football.
First down, William Miller. A gain of about 8 with 3:05 left. Stopped finally by Darryl Moyer. There's also an injured Winnipeg player. John Bonk, the center, is shaken up. And we're going to pause right now for this message. Center John, 6'2", 240 pounds, being assisted from the field. His spot will be taken by Willie Thomas. Well, I think the stereo system in the Bomber dressing room will be cranked up full volume after this game as the Bombers play their theme song, Another One Bites the Dust. A recording by the group Queen. And that's the song they've been chanting this afternoon at Winnipeg Stadium. And Mark Bragg-Ignola refuses to go down to the Winnipeg, or to the Calgary 20-yard line.
That's why they traded for him, Don. They wanted a fullback in there who never says die. Tremendous determination. He always had that ability, and today he's really showed his true worth.
What a job Bobby Thompson did on Reggie Lewis. He had him flat on the ground.
He's making up for that last game, but you know, we can't concede it yet either. You know, we watched that Eastern semifinal. Ottawa comes screaming back right to the due-die end. The game's not over yet.
109 yards Bragg-Ignola has run for this afternoon. First down at the 20. It's William Miller inside, and he is caught by Reg Lewis.
You know, getting back on Mark Bragg-Ignola, you know, his family are tremendous supporters of his, and especially his dad, and I know he's very proud of him. Mark's always had to sit take a back seat. Terry Metcalf in Toronto, just a tough football player, and I think he's just doing a tremendous job today, and I mean, the statistics shows it.
Well, if he was dejected by dropping that football at the 1 on an apparent Winnipeg scoring drive late in the first half, he has certainly atoned for that miscue in the fourth quarter. Penalty flag, Winnipeg charged with taking too long and putting it in play. 1:49 is the time left in the ball game.
Don, certainly a lot of enthusiasm in Winnipeg Stadium this afternoon. It hasn't been all a bed of roses for the Blue Bombers this season. It was back in the early stages of the year that we were here when the Calgary Stampeders were here as well. And they were calling for some scalps of the Blue Bomber management and coaching staff.
You're absolutely correct, John. Back in July 29th, the Bombers had lost their first 3 games, and there was a feeling of dissatisfaction throughout the community. And some were calling for the scalp of Ray Yawk, Earl Lunsford, and almost anybody associated with the Blue and Gold. But the Bombers won that game 35-18 against the Stampeders. Then they lost to Edmonton, and then embarked on an 8-game winning streak. Trevor Kennard, the field goal is successful. And now with the score 29-14 in favor of the Blue Bombers, there's no question the Calgary Stampeders are up against it. .47 remaining in the game. The Calgary Stampeders have to go to work quickly. They won't get the chance. Burley dropped Johnson. He came in untouched from that left side and leveled Ken Johnson back at the 25.
Secondary, the Bombers had all the receivers shut down downfield. There wasn't one receiver open. Ken Johnson just sitting there waiting. Sacrificial lamb. He comes at Burley, gets away from Lloyd Fairbanks, just throws number 66. Lloyd Fairbanks aside. The quarterback, Ken Johnson, again pays the price. Another Toronto reject.
Yes, it was the 3 Bs, as they referred to Bastaya, Bragagnola, and Burley, acquired by the Blue Bombers in deals with the Toronto Argonauts. Johnson throwing deep. Robinson is open. It's almost picked off by Charles Williams. Actually, Johnson overthrew Robinson. 1:16 is the time remaining. The last time the Winnipeg Blue Bombers reached the Western Final was in 1972 when they lost 27-24 to Saskatchewan in a last-minute thriller. And a Winnipeg victory this afternoon, which looks more possible with each passing second, would set up the first.
Come on now.
Would set up the first Edmonton-Winnipeg Western Final since 1960. And you know what? You remember the score in that 1960 playoff game?
You're the only one who would, Don, I think.
4-2 right here at Winnipeg Stadium. Tommy Joe Coffey kicked the field goal for Edmonton. That's the ball game. The third down pass is incomplete.
John, do you think that Don's showing his age now by remembering that score in the 1960 game?
Seeing he remembered it so vividly, I remember it vaguely.
I don't remember it at all.
Some of us just do our research a little better than others, that's all. No, 1960 was the year Bud Grant had such a powerhouse. The Bombers were 14-2, heavily favored, beat the Eskimos. That was in the days of the 3-game Western Final. And in the deciding game right here at Winnipeg Stadium, it wound up 4-2 for Edmonton.
How well remember those 3 games, always in 8 days, 30 below zero.
William Miller inside, stopped there by Mark Nelson. 1:06 is the time left.
Don, there was such a roar down here. I wanted to mention the last time that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers scored a playoff victory. Did you mention that?
I did not, John. Be my guest.
1965, November 20th. It was Kenny Plain to Kenny Nielsen for 109 yards against the Calgary Stampeders back in 1965. So Bomber fans have waited a while for this one.
And Kenny Nielsen sitting down in our mobile unit, our isolated camera director, I'm sure vividly recalls that 1965 playoff game. Dan Hucklack is in there in place of William Miller. And the Bombers right now content to use up just as much time as possible. Although with 45 seconds left in the game, they do send in the field goal unit. The Calgary Stampeders, I believe, have called a timeout. And we'll return right after we pause for this message. Trevor Kennard unlimbering his right leg with 45 seconds left on the clock. The Bombers facing a third down play at the Calgary 26-yard line. Bombers jumped off to that 21-0 first quarter lead. While the Stampeders got back within 9 points in the third quarter. The Bombers took over in the final 15 minutes, and another field goal by Trevor Kennard makes it 32-14. A joyous Winnipeg Stadium gathering of over 31,000. The Largest crowd ever to watch a football game in Winnipeg. They have not yet sold out Winnipeg Stadium since the construction of the new East Side Grandstand 2 years ago increased capacity to over 33,000. Actually, this is the very first time they've gone over the 30,000 mark. Over the middle to James Sykes. Leo Ezrin tried to make the tackle. Then he got some help from Ecomet Burley. And it's a first down, Calgary at the 46. 34 seconds remain. Stampeders got themselves in that hole early, and they made a great attempt at getting back in the ball game. There's no denying that. Sideline pattern intended for Ferzani, incomplete. He took it on a bounce.
What a Western final it's going to be. Edmonton Eskimos, a dynamic team defensively as well as on offense against the passing of Dieter Brock. I can't wait to see that final, Don.
It should be a dandy. The Blue Bombers and the Edmonton Eskimos next Saturday at Commonwealth Stadium. Edmonton won 2 of the 3 games from Winnipeg this year. But Winnipeg scored a 24-14 win over the Eskimos on October 5th right here at Winnipeg Stadium. Swing pass to James Sykes. Did I count 8 people back there defending against the pass for Winnipeg? They're quite content to give the Stampeders the short ones. They're not going to get burned for a big throw, although it won't make any difference because Winnipeg leads by 18. I think I'll commit myself now, Terry.
Thanks, Don.
The ball at the Winnipeg 50. They're dropping off 8 people. The pass complete to James Sykes again, or to Willie Burton. Sykes through a block, bringing Burton loose for a first down with just 3 seconds remaining. Ray Yock receiving congratulations from his players as Ken Johnson rolling right, throws complete to Willie Armstead, and Armstead is down at the 18 as the gun is fired to end this Western semifinal. And a 32-14 Winnipeg Blue Bomber victory over the Calgary Stampeders, setting the stage for the first Winnipeg-Edmonton Western Conference final in 20 years. And that sudden death battle takes place next Saturday at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The Bombers with a 21-0 first quarter lead. The passing of Dieter Brock, the pass catching of Eugene Goodlow, and the running of Mark Bragignola, staking them to their 3-touchdown advantage in the opening quarter. And then some tremendous running by Mark Bragignola when they were down at their own 1-yard line in the 4th, getting them out of the jam en route to the 32-14 win. Our post-game show right after this. A mob scene down at field level as the Labatt's players of the game, Mark Bragignola and Tony Norman, attempt to join John Wells, but a rather enthusiastic group of Winnipeg fans are almost preventing John from conducting any sort of interviews, so we'll call in Hugh Campbell, who must face the Winnipeg Blue Bombers next Saturday afternoon. And Hugh, your analysis, your reaction to this game today.
Well, I think it was pretty obvious the Bombers were as good as they've been all season today, and they were able to disregard any weather conditions and just go out and play excellent football. And they had the spirit too when they needed to move the ball. Of course, Bragnola was spectacular at the end, but I think the key was that first quarter, the way the Bombers just exploded.
And then, of course, one of the keys, as I suggested to you when you were conversing with us during the course of the game, could have been that interception by Tony Norman when it looked as though Calgary, trailing by 9 at the time, might just go in for a touchdown.
Yeah, they were moving with the wind then and had some momentum starting to build up. But that's all part of the game, and the Bombers were alert. They saw that screen going out there, and Norman got out in under it and actually caught the ball like a receiver, kind of over his shoulder, made a good catch, and it was a very big play.
Hugh, in your preparation for this game, you had your assistant coaches here with you scouting the ball game. Have you really done anything for either side up to this point?
Oh, we've worked as though we might play either one of them. We did have some practice oriented towards Calgary, some towards the Bombers, but mostly we did general things that we did back in training camp that would apply to either team.
What about the state of health of your own team? You've lost 3 very key performers during the course of the past 2 games as a result of injuries. Mike Wilson went down. Are you attempting to replace him with Dan Yoakum?
Well, we have Dan Yoakum on a 14-day trial. Whether he could get ready in time to play in the game still remains to be seen. He's making every effort. He's doing it more like a challenge. He's watching a lot of film and working with some of the other players. In particular, Ted Million has been working with him a lot. I think that he may get ready in time for the game. If not, we played quite well in Montreal with the linemen that we had all year, and those people are good linemen. So he may be on the roster for depth, or he may be in there playing. We'll have to wait and see.
The way your team exploded in the final game of the season against the Montreal Alouettes, it seemed to indicate that you're playoff ready.
You never know. I hope so, because we better be, obviously, or we're in deep trouble. I think we have the type of ball club that will play well in the playoffs, but obviously the Bombers are good and will play well too, so should be a close game.
I don't want to dwell on negative things, but the loss of Brian Kelly, who was such an outstanding factor in your passing attack, obviously had to really hurt.
Well, I would say he and Waddell, it hurt equally. Waddell was a tremendous threat, and Brian Kelly was a threat in his own way, and to lose the 2 of them did affect, and we're really happy with the way that Danny Buggs and Ernest Pugh have come in and given us some potency there in the passing attack. But frankly speaking, we miss Waddell and Brian as far as just being used to working with them.